discovery of penicillin, how an accident changed medicine. Forever. In 1928, a Scottish bacteriologist named Alexander Fleming was conducting routine experiments in his laboratory at St. Mary's Hospital in London. Little did he know that an accidental oversight would lead to one of the most significant medical breakthroughs in human history, the discovery of penicillin, the world's first antibiotic. A messy lab and a fortuitous observation. Fleming was known for being somewhat disorganized, often leaving Petri dishes lying around his cluttered workspace. At the time, he was studying a strain of bacteria called Staphylococcus, which caused a range of infections from minor skin irritations to life-threatening illnesses such as pneumonia and sepsis. On a fateful day in September 1928, Fleming returned to his lab after a 2-week vacation. Upon inspecting the dishes he had left out, he noticed something unusual. One of the Petri dishes, which had been contaminated by a mold, exhibited an area where the bacteria had failed to grow. It seemed as if the mold was secreting some substance that killed the bacteria surrounding it. Fleming was intrigued. Rather than discarding the dish, he carefully examined it under a microscope and realized that the mold was producing something lethal to the bacteria. The mold, later identified as Penicillium notatum, was preventing the growth of the Staphylococcus bacteria in what seemed to be a natural antibiotic effect, the birth of penicillin. Recognizing the potential of his discovery, Fleming set out to isolate the antibacterial substance from the mold. He named it penicillin after the Penicillium mold that produced it. However, Fleming initially struggled to purify the substance and create a stable form that could be used in treating infections. He published his findings in 1929 in the British Journal of Experimental Pathology, but his work was largely ignored by the scientific community at the time. Fleming's early experiments demonstrated that penicillin could kill a wide variety of bacteria, including those responsible for scarlet fever, pneumonia, gonorrhea, and meningitis. However, despite its potential, he was unable to stabilize penicillin in large enough quantities to use it as a therapeutic drug. His work remained in the shadows for over a decade. A world war and a desperate need. It wasn't until the early 1940s that the full potential of penicillin was realized. World War II created an urgent demand for effective treatments for wounded soldiers who often succumbed to bacterial infections that spread through their injuries. The development of penicillin as a practical medicine became a race against time. In 1939, a group of scientists led by Howard Florey, an Australian pharmacologist, and Ernst Boris Chain, a German-born biochemist, took up Fleming's research at Oxford University. With the support of a small research team, they worked tirelessly to purify penicillin and demonstrate its effectiveness in fighting bacterial infections. Their experiments in mice showed that penicillin could completely eliminate deadly bacterial infections, and by 1941, they were ready to test it on human patients. The first human trials. The first human to receive penicillin was a man named Albert Alexander, a British policeman who had suffered a severe infection after a rose thorn scratched his face. Despite initial success, the researchers did not have enough penicillin to completely cure him, and he eventually died when the supply ran out. However, the promising results led Florey and Chain to push for mass production. With help from pharmaceutical companies in the United States, penicillin was soon being produced on a large scale. By 1944, penicillin had become widely available to Allied troops, saving countless lives during the final years of the war. Soldiers wounded in combat were no longer at the mercy of deadly infections, and the power of this miracle drug was fully realized. Penicillin's revolutionary impact on medicine. Penicillin revolutionized medicine and changed the course of history. Before its discovery, bacterial infections were often fatal, and there were no reliable treatments for diseases like syphilis, tuberculosis, or bacterial pneumonia. The discovery of penicillin marked the dawn of the antibiotic era, drastically reducing the mortality rate of infectious diseases and transforming healthcare. Not only did penicillin save millions of lives, but it also laid the foundation for the development of other antibiotics. Its discovery prompted a wave of research into antimicrobial drugs, leading to the creation of a wide range of antibiotics that are still in use today. In 1945, Fleming, Florey, and Chain were jointly awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for their work on penicillin. Fleming famously warned that improper use of antibiotics could lead to bacterial resistance, a prescient concern that remains a global health issue today. Legacy of penicillin. Penicillin is often described as one of the most important discoveries of the 20th century. It fundamentally altered the trajectory of medicine, saving countless lives and contributing to the development of modern medical practices, including surgery and the treatment of chronic diseases. Today, although many bacteria have developed resistance to penicillin, it continues to be a vital tool in the fight against infections. The principles behind its discovery have shaped modern pharmacology, and antibiotics remain one of the most powerful weapons in healthcare. Alexander Fleming's accidental discovery in a messy lab became a testament to the power of curiosity, observation, and perseverance. It's a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary advances can emerge from the most unexpected circumstances, forever changing the course of human history.